How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another show. This is You May Roscoe, and I am he. And today's show, we're going to be doing a reaction to uh, Elvis and the Black community. Okay. This is called That Echo Will Never Die. I'm actually not sure if this is a song, if it's some sort of collage or whatever, but we'll be checking it out. So this was actually suggested by like more than a few people that I checked this out. I know that Angela Bettazzone, I know that she was one of those people who suggested this. So Angela, I want to give you a special shout out, and everybody else who requested this song too. There was a few people, like I said. Before I continue, I do want to ask for anybody who hasn't already that they please subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure you hit the notification bell. That way you'll be reminded of any time any future shows are being published. And let's go ahead and check this out. I'm intrigued.
I thought he was a very beautiful, and still is, a very beautiful person, and his memories shall probably forever live on.
Well, you ain't never gonna rabbit. You ain't no friend of mine.
There is no room in this city for the vulgar performances of Elvis Presley.
It's shocking. I watched him gyrate his legs and swivel his hips. And our parent-teachers group feels he should not be on.
Wait a minute. This is crazy. I didn't even mean to stop that. I'm sorry. I'm gonna push this back just a tick. Because even though I was told these stories, I've heard these stories about Elvis and kind of what it was like during his day, so yeah, but I haven't seen like a whole lot of like video footage, of the people of that time talking about him, so it's one thing to hear, second and third recounts or whatever, but yeah, it's a whole nother thing to see, like, to see the people of that time talking about him. So let's keep this going.
No room in this city for the vulgar performances of Elvis Presley.
It's shocking. I watched him gyrate his legs and swivel his hips. And our parent-teachers group feels he should not be on television.
We've set up a 20-man committee to do away with this vulgar, animalistic, nigger rock and roll bop.
Wow. I know that was the time. It just rolled off the tongue so easy, but let's keep it moving.
Our committee will check with the restaurant owners and the cafes to see what Presley records is on their machines, and then ask them to do away with them.
You've learned anything from the criticism leveled at you?
No, I haven't.
You haven't, huh?
Because I don't feel that I'm doing anything wrong.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Crying all the time.
Rock and roll has got to go. And go it does at KWK. We're all through playing rock and roll records. This week is record-breaking week here at KWK. And
this is crazy how time repeats itself. You know what I mean? And the reaction that it looks like rock and roll was getting at that time is the same thing as hip hop. It's the same shit, dude. Like this was the same exact reaction. Like, get rid of this stuff. People breaking records just like this. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, they steamrolled over records in somewhere in the 80s. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, amazing how as much as things change, they stay right the same. So let's keep it moving.
And after this week, no more rock and roll will be played on the air.
The obscenity and vulgarity of the rock and roll music is obviously a means by which the white man and his children can be driven to the level with the nigger. It is obviously Negro music.
Everybody mostly turned him down. And because first thing, he had Negroes' ways. This is what they didn't, really at that time, they didn't want to accept.
Mostly by black performers, and he, in essence, because of at that particular time, the kind of backwards mental capability that many people had as judging a person because of the color of their skin is somewhat still does exist. But back then it was worse, and he actually, because of him being a Caucasian brother, he was able to do away with that whole thing.
He's 77-year-old Early Wright, a disc jockey at radio station WROX in Clarksdale for 45 years.
Hi there. Pleasant good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How do you do? This is your soul man to be with you until I get through. I want you to stand by, don't have no fear. Following Jay's show, should I play one like this one from out of here? Elvis Presley.
Let me find out this dude was the first rapper. Let me find out. They spit a bar just to introduce Elvis. That's what's up. That's what's up. So we could say that, you know, when somebody down the road try to say that I was the first one to do that, this guy was. You know, so.
Elvis's songs still get good play on Wright's program among the blues, gospel, and jazz recordings that are its staples. It was almost 40 years ago when Elvis drove down to Clarksdale from Memphis with a record and asked him to play it.
And I had been playing his record, and I had never seen him before, and I was amazed to see him. When he introduced himself to being Elvis Presley, then I went all to pieces over him. Then he and I started talking. I used to be the manager of a gospel group called the 4-Star Quartet. And I could listen to a man sing a hymn. I could listen to a man sometime talk. I did that. And I could pick him out whether he could fit in my group. And talking to Elvis Presley, I could see a great future in him.
It's no accident that Wright recognized Elvis's strong gospel roots. Here at the East Trigg Baptist Church in Memphis, older members of the congregation remember Elvis joining in with the choir while in high school. These were rousing sessions led by the charismatic pastor, the Reverend W. Herbert Brewster.
Like most black people in the South, and to whose throat God has pressed down a harp of 1,000 strings, it only needed tuning. Elvis's voice was that type of voice that agreed with the thought of Calvary. He had that kind of bent and inclination and attitude that suggests.
This dude, I didn't realize he was going to continue going once they took it away from him. But he's probably got the most eloquent words to describe like Elvis that I've ever heard. Let's push it back a little bit. So, you know, Pop's gonna preach the sermon here.
Black people in the South, and to whose throat God has pressed down a harp of 1,000 strings, it only needed tuning. Elvis's voice was that type of voice that agreed with the thought of Calvary. He had that kind of bent and inclination and attitude that suggested that God could use him.
I gave the music a different approach, a new beat. I knew that it wasn't going to hurt if I said, "Must Jesus bear the cross alone," whether I've said with one beat, two beat, whether I've said it high or low. And I told them, "Come on in here and put your stuff together." They came in here, and it was a glorious experience, and Elvis was in that group.
Elvis came out with a...
It's funny, though. That guy, I have no clue what the hell he just said. know he was heaping praise. You know what I mean? I understand that, but man, the brother was so eloquent. He out eloquent. His brother took me, spit me around like, what the hell did you say, man? You know, like no, that was great. I love that. You know, you get a lot of that in the community. You know what I mean? Guys who just great ramblers. You know, I think I'm one. it's great ramblers. Like you ain't saying shit, bro. You ain't saying nothing. You know, but let's keep it going.
Style of his own, and it was very creative. And once he got into it, and you got that feel, Elvis just took off like a late freight. And with Elvis doing this kind of music, gave an injection to black music that no other artist had ever done.
It was like an earthquake in my neighborhood. The whole place was shaking when he came on. And I said, how did a person possess that kind of power? That it even comes off the TV and grab me in this ghetto neighborhood.
That was powerful. That was powerful. Like Bobby Womack saying that, like, and Womack, you know what I mean? And he's beyond my time, you know, but his legend still resonated enough for me to understand, like, at least what Womack meant to the community, you know, and his impact, you know what I mean? And then knowing, like, listening to his songs, I know what type of soul and passion like Womack came with, you know, so for him to say, you know, like Elvis was an earthquake to him, you know, like that's a statement like that. Yeah, oh my goodness. Wow. Let me push this back a little bit. Yeah, damn, that was a statement.
Shaking when he came on. And I said, how did a person possess that kind of power? That it even comes off the TV and grab me in this ghetto neighborhood.
Elvis took my Tutti Frutti, and I was very disgusted. But by him singing it, he really made it bigger and made me bigger.
During those days, if it was a white artist doing something, they would just say, they don't like our blacks and we don't like them either. He's nothing but a copycat. But Elvis Presley, when he came on, chicks was screaming and going crazy, and it was just like any other neighborhood. And I said, this guy's got something going, man.
Elvis had something that made him sound like he truly meant it, and that's what made a lot of people like myself like him.
I think Elvis had lots of soul. He appealed to black people. He definitely had to have soul in order to do that.
I think there's ever been an artist that when his name went on the marquee, they knew he was coming. People came from all over the world. I never heard of that.
Elvis did a lot of stuff that, you know, rappers do these days.
He had the bling. You gotta have the bling when you're from Memphis.
He had the bling, you know, he had a Cadillac, you know, he had like a gangster in it.
That's funny for 3-6. I mean, but it's true. It go back to what I was saying. Like you know, the rock stars ain't nothing but hip hop stars. You know what I mean? Of that day. That's all it was. And the same type of reaction. Like I said, you know, I remember being a kid and those times when in the early in mid 80s when they said hip hop was gonna be a dying thing. Like in a couple of years, this won't be around and stuff like that, you know. And of course, me being a kid, I believed that, you know what I mean? Like, wow, this thing won't be here, you know. But lo and behold, you know, some 30-something plus years later, whatever it's been, but yeah, no, it's still here. It's a dominant thing, but yeah, no, like. I've always said that as a young kid. I said like rock and roll and hip hop is the same thing, you know. But let's keep it going.
As the snow flies on a cold and gray Chicago morning, a poor little baby child is born in the ghetto.
The song also resonates with people who've only met Elvis through his songs.
I was talking about the hood, you know. They're talking about where we come from.
Paul Beauregard and Jordan Houston are the Oscar-winning rap duo 3-6 Mafia. They grew up just 2 blocks from Graceland in one of Memphis's poorest neighborhoods.
I want a CD scratcher.
My mom used to always listen to the song when I was young. He talked about, things that she went through. She had my mom had a bunch of kids, like 9 kids. You know what I'm saying? That's how you get somebody to listen to your song. You talk about what they know about and what they want to hear. And she know about the ghetto because, she lived in the ghetto.
In the ghetto.
That's it.
And his mama cries. But if there's one thing that she don't need, it's another hungry mouth to feed in the ghetto.
After we find the part on the record that we want to use, we sample it into the drum machine or the keyboard. That way we can loop it like.
My first line says, first I'm broke, so I hang out with the rat and roach. It's still broke, so I'm sleeping on apartment floors. So it's just like the struggle, what's going on in the hood. First I'm broke, so I hang out with the rat and roach. It's still broke, so I'm sleeping on apartment floors. And I was off beat, but it's all good, because it's on TV. maybe do some edits, make me look cool, maybe put my name in the credits.
Once we have all that ready, we load it into the drum machine and then pay out.
So he starts to roam the streets at night, and he learns how to steal and he learns how to fight in the ghetto. Survival is an everyday task, watching your back for the man wearing the mask. I say you might get stuck if you in the hood looking like it came up.
I love hip hop. You know what I mean? For the ability to do something like that. You know what I mean? They've always the culture damn near was born off of samples. It basically was, but yeah, no, this is crazy. This is crazy. I've never heard the song. I wasn't even aware that the song existed, "The Ghetto" by Elvis, until like days ago or something like that. I'm just, for some odd reason, I've never heard that. But yeah, no, I'm now I'm gonna end up doing a reaction to it. That's how intrigued I am. But this is crazy. 3-6 Mafia done flip that joint. You don't get a lot of Elvis sampling in hip hop. So shout out to 3-6 Mafia for doing that. Let's keep this moving.
We riding old school whips, high off the ground, right beside a player hill. It ain't as bad as it seems. We still stay fly, looking so clean. First I'm broke, so I hang out with the rat and roach. And still broke, cause I'm sleeping on apartment floors. The junkies get up, kick when they smoke a brick. I never seen a drug dealer ever call it quits. The hood struggle is to make it, gotta get the change. See, every day is like a dark cloud full of rain. The feds tapping for what's dangerous when you hood trapping. So don't get lost in the sauce, slinging cold crackling.
So help your brother along the way, no matter where he starts. But the same God that made you, made him too. These men with broken hearts.
It's funny. Like, if that little kid he got the little lip thing that that Elvis is known for. Like, he got it going on right from the giddy up. Yeah, right from the giddy up. Like, he looking little Elvis with the little snarl.
During the 60s and early 70s, when tensions between blacks and whites were at an all-time high, Elvis demonstrated his desire for racial reconciliation in the musicians that he chose and the treatment they received.
See, this the part that coming up as a kid, you didn't hear these stories. You know what I mean? And I think that it's funny how word of mouth propaganda, all that stuff works. You know what I mean? Like, when you want to disparage or take away from somebody's name or something like that, which I'm not sure why, stories to the contrary actually would come out about Elvis. You know what I mean? Like, he ain't treating our people like, you know what I mean? So this will be interesting to hear a little bit.
When we first decided to take the gig with Elvis, we had no idea that there would be any racial flack regarding it. Our first racial encounter was when we went to Texas. Elvis was told by his people that, well, you can leave the black girls home. You don't have to bring them. So Elvis wasn't going to do the Astrodome unless his girls could be with him. And he demanded that we be given the star treatment. We had to be in our convertible where everybody could see us and our little blonde could drive us. And that was his statement. You don't like it? Deal with it, or I'm not going to be there. And I thought that was very big of him.
When I joined,
that was dope. That was dope. You know what I mean? And that little things like that do say a lot about somebody's person, you know, and even before seeing that, you know what I mean? Like I'm not one of those people that damns a person for, you know, 1 indiscretion, 2 indiscretions, you know, 3 of them. You know, like people make mistakes. You know what I mean? Like there's people who have hated some other people in time, and then, you know, as time passes, they get a different outlook, you know, and that type of thing happens, you know, and I never felt, you know, because I remember like seeing Elvis on TV as a kid. You know, by that time they would have been reruns, you know what I mean, of movies and shows that he was on, but he didn't give off that type of energy, you know what I mean, and I think that would be something that's hard to hide. Like on some of these people, even in a person, you could kind of see it. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, he never gave off that vibe like he was, you know, an enemy to the community or nothing like that. But and I do want to say something about like the appropriation thing. And there was a lady who she was making a comment in my comment section, actually, and it wasn't anything bad, you know. It was something that I had mentioned, I think, in another Elvis reaction that I did about appropriation, and it wasn't that I was saying that I felt like Elvis was doing any of that, but I know those accusations they have been thrown at him, you know, and I think I've never looked at, you know, I'm not a person of the appropriation mass. I think everybody appropriates, actually. And I think that it should be acceptable. That's how, like, I've always thought that. Like we are here to connect with each other and learn from each other. So that's appropriation. You know what I mean? Like I appropriate from you what I'm not doing, and you do the same on your end. But I thought that's how life is supposed to go. We're supposed to appropriate, but people make it as if it's a bad thing. But let's keep this on.
The group in 1972, they took a big chance because there were no blacks in contemporary or Southern gospel music, and I was the first one, and it made all the headlines and everything. It was in Billboard and all the newspapers in Tennessee. And my first time meeting Elvis he had a folder full of clippings of things that he had read about me. As a matter of fact, the Imperials brought me to his suite, and he gave me this folder with all the clippings, and he personally welcomed me into the family. And for a guy who, you know, didn't really know where he stood, this was very important, that he acknowledged my presence and, you know, made me feel very much a part of what we were all doing. And right away, he treated me like he'd known me for years. He gave me one of those TCB chains and everything, and I was just one of the guys, and I never forgot that.
And I'd been around him with other people of color, and I've only seen him give love. He was very generous to people that he didn't even know. You didn't have to be of any racial persuasion for him to love you.
And you know how rumors get started when there's a big star or something. The people will start rumors. Well, he doesn't like this kind of people, or he doesn't like those people or that people. And I never got that from him.
But you know, Elvis is a whole nother thing. It's just, I think it's scary to even be compared to people in that, like, you know, I mean, because he's such a big talent, and in his absence, of course, he's bigger than in his presence. And music marks time, so in this time period, what Elvis was to his period would be something totally different. Well, I think rock and roll, I mean, what he brought to Vegas is more than rock and roll. I mean, I think there's so much going on out here on the entertainment front. Like right now, you'll see the likes of Celine Dion and Tony Braxton. It's a lot going out here. You know what I mean? As far as rock and roll is concerned, it's great. I mean, Elvis Presley was able to do things that haven't been able to be duplicated to this day.
And 50 Cent so get it. I love him, and I'm glad that they asked somebody like him, because he's actually a person to a smaller degree, you know, who was able to do something of what Elvis was doing when he first hit the scene. And he was like this seismic shift that nobody had ever seen before. And 50 did a little bit of that, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like you hadn't seen him before, but when he hit the scene, it was so big and crazy, you know. But Elvis was something different, though. You know what I mean? You never heard or seen or nothing, and like everybody's heard something of the stories of like how people were affected in that time by him. And when you had, like, this is a white guy, you know what I mean? He could be doing, you know, at least in my mind, you would think like he could be doing whatever type of music, but he's a white guy, you know, and yet like he's doing this type of music to where it moves people, it's in their soul, it's making them dance, and you know, his own people, you know what I mean? You got white people like tripping on him like hard, like they was wilding on this dude. So yeah, just to see something like that was just really crazy, and to see to ask somebody who's had something of that same kind of presence in music like that, to see how he would look at it, you know, it's really crazy. But let's finish this out.
Black American music influenced Elvis. The fact that people say, well, he's the king of it all, king of rock and roll, is a slap in the face to those that made the music possible in the first place. Not to say he wasn't brilliant. I think he was a fantastic, talented singer.
I don't think he ripped them off. I think once something has been exposed, anyone can add or take from it if they like. He was just so great, so popular, so hot, so anything that he played, it became a hit. To me, they didn't make a mistake when they called him the king.
The only thing I want to know, was he my friend? Did I enjoy him as a performer? Did he give the world of entertainment something? Yes, on all counts. And that's the name of that tune.
He was a bundle of energy set to music. And that echo will never die.
Mm-hmm. That echo will never die. That's what's up. Yeah, no, that was dope. I really enjoyed that. That was Elvis Presley in the Black community. That echo will never die, as my man said at the end there. And I like that. I like that a lot. It was, you know, like I said, I had heard some accounts from some people of what it was like in that time. You know, I know that, like I said, I had come up watching some of those movies that he was in. Had heard pieces of some of the music. I knew about his impact as a outsider, and when I say outsider, I mean I wasn't born in that era, so I'm an outsider of the era, you know. But yeah, that's how big his impact was for me to, you know, of course, know of him. And then, you know, once I got engaged even a little bit, you know, it was just like, man, this dude is he is something special. And I like him, you know, I really did. And it's funny that they showed Chuck D near the end there, because like I remember being a kid, you know, and I had already by the time I would start listening to Public Enemy, I had already been exposed to Elvis movies and a little bit of the music, whatever. And then you know, I know that there's actually a very famous line in a Public Enemy song where it says that Elvis was a hero to most, but he never meant shit to me, and he blah blah blah. He say something about they're basically saying that Elvis was racist, you know. And so when he put that out there, that narrative stuck with a lot of my generation. And I knew even then as a kid, like, you can't really put that out there on a person like that. You know what I mean? Like when you stamp that on somebody, like, you know, people will run with that without doing a real investigation into, you know, the person, real analysis about the person. They just take that it's just like today. They take a little piece of the story and run with it. So I think that was happening a lot in our community with this dude. And I've never been of that mindset to really just kind of run with one little piece of the story and say, all right, that's what that person is. So, but this was cool, you know, and maybe, you know, some people who, even if they was from my generation, from another place in time, they get to see this and you know, get to understand a little bit further. You know, it was good for me to hear people of that time just say like, no, that's not what it was. You know what I mean? Like this man he was good people. You know what I mean? And whether people think he stole the music, like I said, I don't know. I don't believe in that whole appropriation thing. You know, we should be sharing with each other anyway. All this stuff, our cultures, all that, we should be sharing. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much it. That's all I got to say. So this was dope. This was dope. I love this. So I'm going to get up out of here. Before I do, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the share button, hit the playlist option. You'll pick the one named Elvis Presley Reactions. I do have a playlist for this guy. So check out all of the stuff that I've done or reacted to as far as he's concerned. So there's that. I do have playlists for other artists as well. Check out all that stuff. Watch them, like them. Make sure you're not requesting anything that I haven't reacted to already. The Cash App is on the screen, as you can see. It's $ you made Roscoe. So for anybody who like to show show your support to the page, appreciation for the work being done. This is my job. You know what I mean? So any show of appreciation will be welcome. You don't have to do nothing crazy, but a lot of these videos I will not ever get paid for, you know. So, you know, people be requesting it. It's just like, okay, I won't get paid for it, but okay. But no, it's all good. You know, we doing this for the love too, still, you know, but there's a tiny bit of capitalism in there. I ain't gonna front. Just a smidge of capitalism in there. But Yeah, that's it. That's it. So I'm leaving. Gotta go. Gotta go. Gotta go. I will see you guys again very soon. So until next time, you guys be good.